Hi boys and girls, this is Mrs. Tisdale. Here today I'm going to teach you lesson 1.9, dividing with decimals. This is the last lesson in chapter 1, and so we're going to go over dividing with decimals. Our objective is I can divide whole numbers and decimals by decimals. This is stuff that you learned in 5th grade, so hopefully it's a review. There's not many story problems. We'll do story problems together as a class, but you need to be ready for your chapter 1 test coming up soon. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the number one rule of dividing. The number one rule of dividing, just like in 1.8, was first you need to estimate. This is more important to me than if you can actually do the division. If you know how to estimate, I am happy because you have a calculator in your pocket and you don't really need to be able to know how to long divide for life. You need to be able to know how to estimate though. So that's my goal, is to teach you how to estimate. But I'm also going to teach you how to do the long division. Okay, so on the note side of your page, you're going to write this down in your notebook. Okay, here's the 4 steps to dividing with decimals. The process is, step 1, you're going to move the decimals in the divisors to the right. Let me set up a really quick example here. This is an easy example, but so if I had 2.4 divided by 1.2, 2.4 divided by 1.2, step 1 is to move the decimal in the divisor to the right. One jump here. And you're going until it makes a whole number. And so if it was 2 jumps, that's fine. Then step 2 is move the decimal in the dividend the same number of places. So we moved it 1 jump, so we're going to move it 1 jump. There's our decimal. Now we're going to divide. 12 into 24 is 2. 2 times 12 is 24. Leaves us with 0. So we don't need to bring anything else down. So our answer is 2. We're going to bring the decimal, step 4, up straight up into our answer, and our answer is 2.0. Okay? So that is a very, very, very basic example. But I'm going to go ahead and try a harder one now. So if you're stuck, raise your hand and ask a question, because now it's just going to get a little more. Okay, your first example is 66.5 divided by 3.5. Now, I set these up on purpose, so you're going to look here, and I did not set it up in the little house. We're going to set that up together. But first I want to say to myself, I'm looking for compatible numbers. 66 is easily divided by 3. Now, this is for my estimate, okay? My estimate. 66 divided by 3 would be 22. So my estimate is going to be 22. That's not my answer, my estimate. Now I'm going to set up this problem here. The first number, or the dividend, goes inside of the little house. I don't know the actual name of that. I always call it the little house. And then the divisor goes on the outside. And then I'm going to move my decimal. Let's see, get my little highlighter out. I'm going to move it 1 place value over. Okay. And so my decimal is going to be right here. Sometimes I like to put my decimal, oops, let's use the pen, not the highlighter. I like to put my decimal in before I actually solve it. Sometimes that's easier for me. Okay, so now I just need to divide. My problem is 35 into 665. Doesn't go into 66. 35 goes into 66 one time. Minus 1. 31. Bring down a 5. 315. Now remember, my estimate was 22, so I know it's probably going to be a high number, but I'm going to go with 9 so that it makes this makes 19 here, because 22, those are hopefully pretty close. So I'm going to start with 9. So I'm going to do 3.5. Oh, sorry, no decimal there. Let's see, I have an eraser. 35 times 9. 5. 9 times 3, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Look, perfect. So times 9 is 315. When I subtract that, that's 0. I don't have any other numbers to bring down here, so my answer is 19.0, or just also known as 19. Was 19 close to my estimate? Yeah, it was pretty close. So that means I got it correct. So in your notebook, you need to take time now to make sure you write down everything you see on my screen. If your notebook does not look like my screen, then you are wrong. So make sure you take the time, pause your video, and write it down. All right, this next example. Now, I'm going to show you, so whenever I see numbers like this in division, I get really stressed out because that's a really big number. But I'm going to show you a trick for it in just a minute. First, we need to estimate. So looking at just my whole numbers, I have 5 and 17. So what is 17 divided by 5? Well, that's really close to 15 divided by 5, which is 3. So my estimate is 3. I like to circle my estimate and then box my answers. So my estimate is 3, but I don't know. Actually, let's do the next step here. Let's go ahead and move our decimal over. 1, 2. So 1, 2. Move it straight up into our answer. Okay? And that's multiplying by the powers of 10, so we multiplied it by 100 there. Now I'm going to do this. I'm going to take 575 and I'm going to start adding it on the side here. Okay. Okay, so what this tells me right here is that 5 times 2, or 500 plus 75 plus 575, is 1150. And then I'm going to add another one. So I'm just doing repeated addition here, so I know what number I'm getting close to. Sometimes I like to multiply. Other times it's just easier for me when these numbers get really large to just add them. Oh, look at that. I found my number. So my number right here, 1725, matches perfectly. So now I just need to know how many times that was divided by. So I'm going to just number these. Here's 1, 2, and 3. So 3 times 575 is 1,725, which is 0. Nothing left to bring down, so our answer is 3. Okay, so I used a strategy called repeated addition over here instead of multiplication, which is totally fine. They are the same thing, so you're welcome to do repeated addition if that's better for you. Okay, oh, and look at this. I just want to show you guys. Was it close to our estimate? Yeah, it was. It was the exact same, which is super duper cool. I love when that happens. Alright, on to the next problem. Let's go ahead and set this one up here. I'm going to put my dividend, 37 and 8/10, and then my divisor, 0.14. Now I don't need that 0 there. I can include the 0, but I don't have to. Whoops. So I'm not going to. Okay, so I'm going to estimate, but first I'm going to move over my decimal. So I need to move my decimal 2 jumps, and then 2, what do? Add a 0, okay? If you ever run out of space, you can just add a 0 there after a decimal, and that's totally fine. Okay, move my decimal up into my answer here. Okay. Now let's go ahead and, now I've got 3,780 divided by 14. I'm not sure exactly what that'd be, but 14 into 37, that's going to be about 3. Into 80, that's going to be about maybe 5. I'm thinking about 35. That's my guess. Yeah, I'm not even sure yet, but I'm going to guess that. So let's start with, does 14 go into 3? No. Does 14 go into 37? Yes, it goes in 2 times. 2 times 14 is 28. I don't know all of my 14s, but I do know that. Okay, that's 9. Now, I bring down the 8. 14 goes into 98. How many times? I don't know. Let's try 14 times 5. 70. And it'll go in another time. 14 times 6. 84. Oops. I'll do it over here. 14 times 7. 8. Gravity, 7 times 1 is 9. Oh, there it is. Look, 98. So 14 times 7 is 98. And subtract, that's 0. Bring down my 0. Does 14 go into 0? No. So I'm going to add a 0 right there. Okay, so my answer is 270. Okay, and I could put another 0 right there, but I don't need to. So was I even close to an estimate? No, I was totally off base. And I'm going to look at that, and if I look and say, well, 14 times 35 would not be 3,000. So I was totally off. Let's double check my work here. 270 times 14 should give us 3,780. 4, 8, 9, 10. Erase this one over here so I don't know, right? You guys are lucky you have notebooks so you don't run out of room, but sometimes I do. That's a 0. 0, 7, 2, 8, 7. Look, 3,780. There it is. So it is the correct answer. Oh, and that was just checking my work. Okay. Alright, so, for whatever reason, Mrs. Twisdale can't estimate apparently today, and the answer was 207. So, and is it okay to make mistakes? Yeah, it is, because we have a growth mindset. Long division is hard, but we're going to keep trying because we're really, really smart. Okay, here's your first try it problem. I'm going to set it, well, actually, I'm not going to set it up for you. I think you can set it up by yourself. So go ahead and pause your video and try this problem. Okay, let's check your work. So we want to first take 75, our dividend, and it goes in the house. And then our divisor goes on the outside. We're going to move this over. Oh, wait, before we move over the divisor, let's estimate. So 12 would go into 75. I know that 12 times 6 is 72. So I'm going to say about 6 times. Okay. Move this over. Oh my goodness, there's no decimal in 75. Well, hopefully you know the decimal would be right there. That's where that decimal would be. And so we can just add a 0 after the decimal and move it over right there. Okay, makes a little smiley face. Kind of a one-eyed smiley face. Okay, so now how many times does 125 go into 750? Well, I'm going to look back at my estimate up here. Because what if it goes in 6 times? Let's try it. 125 times 6. 30. 6 times 2 is 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh, it's looking good. 6 and 750. Woo, woo, woo. I was right on track that time. Subtract, there's nothing to bring down. So my answer is 6.0 or just 6. And there's your answer. I would take either one. These are both technically correct. Okay, boys and girls, now I'm going to show you an example problem that has order of operations. So a quick review of the order of operations. You always do parentheses first, then exponents, then multiplication or division, and then addition or subtraction, going from left to right. Okay? And inside of parentheses, you always do the multiplication, division, then addition and subtraction. So let's go ahead and look at this. So I know that my eyes are immediately going to go right here to the parentheses. Now inside the parentheses, I have 2 operations. I have subtraction and division. Well, if I look at my PEMDAS, I know that division comes before subtraction. So before I subtract these numbers, I need to divide these numbers here. I know that is tricky, so if you didn't understand, please rewind and rewatch. So I'm going to divide first 4.9 divided by 7. So 4.9, 4.9 divided by 7. 7 goes into 49 7 times, so it is 0.7. 7. It just comes straight up into my answer. So that means that 4.9 divided by 7 is 0.7. I'm going to rewrite what I have done so far. 36.4 plus, plus 9.2 minus, we did this already, so 0.7. Okay, next I do the rest of my parentheses, which is 9.2 minus 0.7. 9.2 minus 0.7. Subtract is 5. And 8.5. Now I have 36.4 plus 8.5. And I can go ahead and do that. Line up my decimals when I'm adding. And 44.9. And I don't always say out loud what I'm doing when I just add, because I assume that you guys can do that. You are in 6th grade. So your answer is 44 and 9/10. So I just want to remind you, your screen needs to look just like your notebook needs to look just like my screen. So you need to pause and take notes. Please rewatch it if you're confused. Remember, I did that division first because that's what comes first in our order of operations before subtraction. Okay, now you're going to get a chance to try it. So here's your problem. You should first look at the parentheses and then continue and solve it. Okay, so let me go ahead and check your work with you. I'm going to, first of all, this is 42 minus 6.5. Oh, I hope you lined it up just like I did. I'm going to add a decimal and a 0 to 42. If you lined it up wrong, I'm sure you got the wrong answer all around. If you lined it up wrong, pause it now and try to fix your work. Okay, do a little regrouping here. 5 and 5, 35.5. Okay, so now I have 142 divided by 35.5 times 3.9. So next I look, and it looks like I have division, so I'm going to divide these two numbers right here. 142 divided by 35.5. Move my decimal over. There's no decimal, so I can just write it in. Okay. I'm going to switch colors because sometimes I get confused when my colors all match. Oh, that's a big number. I'm going to do some repeated addition. Okay. Let's see if I have enough space over here. Okay, and I'm going to just quietly do this, so just watch what I'm doing, but I'm not going to talk. It's pretty close. This is my way. Let's see if this is too much. Oh no, it's going to be perfect. Perfect. Look here, I found 1420, which is what I was looking for. Whoops. Put that down here. Now I just need to find out how many times I added 355. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4. So I had 4. It went in perfectly, no remainder, so 4.0. Okay, so that was, now I erased this part down here, so I'm a little confused. That was 4.0, and then I already did this part, times 3.9 is what I have left. So I'm going to do 4.0 times 3.9. Hopefully I don't run out of room. Count my jumps too. So I got 15.6. My work was all over the place, but let me check the math book. Yep, that's correct. I did it right. Yay! I love when I do this right. It's such a good feeling. So hopefully you got that problem right. If not, please, please, please raise your hand, rewatch it. You got to figure out what you did wrong. There will be problems like this on your assessment. So make sure you know how to do these order of operations, because we just practiced addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division all in one problem. So if you're ready for the test, you could do this problem. If you can't do this problem, then we're not ready for your test. So let me know if you need help. I am always happy to help you, and have a great day of learning.